I am Yao, King of the Rock. Welcome in to the Bro 4 Squad podcast, where we are just a bunch of bros drinking beer and talking movies. This is episode 246, and I am your host, the Mayor, Jeff Hornacek. Thank you guys so much for joining us for the movie discussion tonight. Before we get started, let's meet my co-host and fellow bro, our legal counsel, Ronnie Cycli. Ronnie, I watched a movie today where a gold coin was traded for the life of a woman named Bridget. In the court of law, can this be rescinded using the age-old takesy-backsy method?
I think you got to talk to Barney Stinson about this. He has extensive knowledge about trading women for certain things.
At one point, I think I sold a woman. I didn't speak the language.
We shook hands.
I took the money, and I just gave her to her. So takesy-backsies, international waters, I know it's applicable.
I wouldn't advise it, is all I'm going to say.
Interesting. We'll get into that film that I watched a little bit later. That is called A Tease. Here on the Bro 4 Squad podcast, we start every episode off with the most important thing in any bro's life, and that is chest day. Our chest day topic today, Cycli and I are going to be discussing the newest season of Black Mirror, season 7. So if you have not seen Black Mirror, or if you don't want it spoiled for you, I would skip ahead to like the 20-minute mark of this episode when we get into what we've watched lately, because there is no way to talk about this season without going full spoilers. And this will not be near as structured or in-depth as our reviews of TV series that we've done in the past. What we're going to do is briefly discuss each of the 6 episodes, just our overall thoughts on the plot, the premise, the acting, and then Cycli and I have ranked the 6 episodes respectively. No idea what the other person has, but we're going to rank them 1 through 6 in terms of our most enjoyed to, I guess, least enjoyed, worst. I don't really think, just to kind of tease, I don't really think there was like a horrible episode here. I do think we're both going to have the same number 6.
Yeah, I agree with that. But like, this was a pleasant, I wouldn't say it's a pleasant surprise, but it picked up from where the last couple seasons have disappointed. And so it was nice to get that. Like, even the worst episode, I still enjoyed.
Had a lot of positives about it, for me at least.
Yeah.
So I guess, Cycli, before we get into season 7, the most recent season of Black Mirror, why don't you just tell the people your relationship with this show? It obviously has been, I think it's a show that has some really high highs. I won't even say it has some really low lows, but because of the premise of it, where it's like basically horror told through the lens of like some form of possible technology or technology we currently have. Some episodes really connect and resonate and are harrowing, and then others I just kind of miss me. How do you feel about Black Mirror in general, and then specifically the last couple seasons of it?
So, if you're someone who's listened to this podcast for a while, you know I love my dark shit. I love my depressing, fucked up, like, I don't know why I want to finish something and be depressed. I don't know what that says about me, but
Netflix's algorithm is like, you okay, bro?
And when I was introduced to Black Mirror, I remember someone saying to me like, "Hey Ronnie, this is up your alley." And it's like, it's dark and it's futuristic, but it's real in the same way. And I watched it probably within, I think it was probably 2 seasons in, by the time it got to America, because this was a British TV show on Channel 4, I believe. And I watched the first episode, which was, a lot of people say online to not start with the Prime Minister uh, and the pig. I'll just say that without giving anything. And I was the opposite. That is the episode that hooked me. A lot of people say, no, watch that episode way later on. There's other episodes. I was like, no, this kind of idea of a futuristic world where you can control people with internet, you can control people with AI, with videos, with all these sorts of things. My favorite episodes have always been like White Bear. You know, like some of the most like fucked up, like really
What's the one
dark.
where the kid is like running around texting someone trying to like do things for them, and you're like, why is this guy so motivated to do these things?
That one is, oh my gosh, it's something with dance.
Dance Monkey or something?
No, yeah, hold on. Oh my gosh, it's gonna drive me crazy because that's like probably my second favorite episode. Okay, so yeah, hold on. White Bear is probably my number 1, and that White
Is
Christmas.
White Bear the one with Daniel Kaluuya? White Christmas is the John Hamm one.
Yes,
right?
White Christmas is Shut Up and Dance is the one you're talking about. Shut Up and Dance, which I think solidified Black Mirror for me as like just nothing can compare. And the problem with those first 3 seasons, in my opinion, is it's been so hard to replicate because it was so raw and it was so original. And then anything that Netflix ends up picking up, we can have that own discussion. Like, does it get diluted? Does it get a little sensitized? Do we take a step back from what we're like going for?
It's funny because Netflix acts like they never have anything that's successful. Because when they do get one, it's like they're starving for a successful piece of content and they just beat it to death. But it's like they actually have a lot of really good original programming. It's weird that when they do get one, well, I guess renewals is kind of their big weakness, right? They'll cancel shows. People are like, why'd you cancel that? And then they'll renew shows way past the point of them actually still being good.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, 100%. And that's the thing about Black Mirror is like it's a niche it's a niche audience. And I think Netflix for a while there tried to make it accessible to everyone, and that's not what Black Mirror is.
Yeah, that's its strength. And I do think we both agreed the last few seasons, while they've been interesting and I don't think weak at all, the show, I mean, those first couple seasons are so dark and morose, probably almost too much for like the longevity
American
of the
audience.
show. Yeah, it's like it's not even cynical, man. It's just like a really depressing view of the world. And occasionally they'll still throw in one of those like really hard hitting episodes. But I also think as they've gotten like one of the cool things about Black Mirror is they do get some pretty good star power to sign on for these. Because I mean, if you're an actor, this is a really fun, like probably limited time commitment and a role that you know is going to be something interesting. So as that has happened, the show has like I don't want to say gotten like more mainstream, but I definitely feel like they've pulled their punches a little bit.
Absolutely, I think you're dead on.
Okay, season 7 of Black Mirror. It's a 6-episode season, which I believe we were talking off pod is a little bit longer than the past few they've had. Season 6 was 5, and season 5 was only 3. So yeah, we've gotten like another full length season here. Let's start with the first episode, unless you want to go in a different order. The first episode of the season was Common People, and this the plot synopsis. When a medical emergency leaves school teacher Amanda fighting for her life, her desperate husband Mike signs her up for Rivermind, a high-tech system that will help keep her alive. This stars Chris O'Dowd and Rashida Jones as the titular couple. And Rashida Jones is the one dealing with, is it like a brain aneurysm, or what's like the problem here that she has?
Yeah, exactly. So she is basically kept alive by modern technology, and they can't afford the treatment. And so there's brand new. I mean, again, we're going spoilers here, right? So like, I'm gonna start by saying this is the most Black Mirror episode of this season, in my opinion. Like, they started out with a bang here. And this is when I say Black Mirror episode, I mean this is something I absolutely can see happening.
100%.
And
in the not too distant future, I think,
no,
too.
I honestly will be shocked if this doesn't happen. So essentially, what we were just saying, she has a brain aneurysm. She's basically would die without certain treatment. They can't afford this treatment, and instead, a company comes and say, "Hey, we'll pay for this," but there's going to be some, certain stipulations.
And of course, her husband Chris
Like,
O'Dowd at the time says, "Do whatever you can to keep my wife."
keep my wife alive. And all of a sudden, again, I don't know how deep into the plot we want to get, but like in the middle of a conversation, she'll start saying advertisements.
Right. Some of them for like churches.
Yeah. And she's a teacher, and she starts going off and saying these things in front of students, and the students look at her like it's part of the lesson plan. They don't know. She can't control it. It just overpowers her. But to upgrade,
She doesn't even know what's happening, right? She like
she doesn't know what's
out.
happening. But hey, you're like, hey, I don't want these advertisements. Oh, well, it's a free program. Here is what you need to do to get rid of the ads. It's something we experience every day online. Pay for or on an app. Like pay a couple bucks a month and you won't have advertisements. It's too real, man. Like this episode was so depressing to me.
And the things Chris O'Dowd does to try and make a little extra money on the side to pay for these upgrades. And then it gets really sad as money continues to be an issue. The service in her brain also has the ability to heighten like certain senses. And as he sort of feels his wife's life coming to an end, he says, well, let me splurge so that on our anniversary, you know, she can have like, I'll up her enjoyment percentage, or I can't remember what the exact toggle that he flips, but that was really sad too. Like basically
sensitivities, all that kind of stuff.
Right. So there's a lot of like really, it's just like becoming basically victims to this technology that like saved her and is keeping her alive. It is also the thing that's like sapping them of their means of living comfortably and then just kind of like their enjoyment of each other. Like their whole relationship sort of degrades because she has to sleep at the end of what, like 20 hours a day or something crazy.
Yeah, to reload, she can only go an X number of miles away from a certain location without an upgrade.
Right.
Oh, if you want to go 30 miles away, you have to pay for this. And it's really fucked up because I don't know how much you like noticed that to me, the basically the woman working for this company that was selling this to them was also quote unquote a victim of some sort of brain injury, or and you could tell that she was that was her employee. Like that's how she got her. Like she was basically given these things to then sell.
Right.
And
they know how predatory it is.
yeah, it's so like what is it? What are you going to do when your option is life and death? How much are you willing to pay? How much are you willing to sacrifice?
Yeah.
And I'm going to give away spoilers here, but like this is the best episode of the season because it is the most raw, it's the most authentic, it's the most real. Like this absolutely can be something like we resolve into and will happen in humanity.
I think the theme, if there is one of this season, and not every episode falls into this, but the overarching motif that I got was our own mortality and like what our lives mean to us. In this case, it's almost like monetarily, but also there's other episodes that reflect on like legacy and like how you kind of look back on your life and view things. And this one definitely deals with like this couple, especially like you said, Chris O'Dowd has to make the Sophie's choice of like, I mean, it's not a choice really. Do I keep my wife alive or by buying this service? But the thing basically ends up, I don't want to say owning them, but it has them at their its beck and call and ruins their lives in a lot of ways.
It absolutely does.
Them. All right. Anything else about common people?
I mean, we could. I feel like it could give an hour to this episode.
Probably.
It's like a movie. I mean, it's again the sacrifices he makes, like you said, the little bit of upgrades, an hour upgrade here and there. Again, it's just too real. That's all I'll say about this.
And again, him basically selling his dignity to help make a little extra money and keep her service like at the level that it needs to be, or even upgrade it when need be, is another thing that is just so sad to watch.
We'd all do it for the ones we love. We would.
For sure. Yeah. All right, episode 2, Bete Noir. Synopsis. Confectionery whiz kid Maria is unnerved when her former schoolmate Verity joins the company she works at because there's something altogether about Verity, something only Maria seems to notice. All right, Cycly, before I toss it over to you, this is an episode that had some really, and I know what you're going to talk about for something that it displayed to certain Netflix viewers, but it had some really interesting ideas that really had me hooked and are good discussion pieces afterwards. However, the last 5 to 6 minutes of it, I think really, really fizzle out, and it's just like so lazy and stupid that it for me ruined the full episode.
Yeah.
But there are still some cool concepts in this, specifically how it revolves around gaslighting and the Mandela effect and how it plays into all of our lives. What did you think of Bete Noir?
That's what drives me crazy about it, because I genuinely was enjoying the hell out of this episode when I started it. Because you hit the nail on the head. The Mandela effect and the gaslighting. Those felt real and raw the way we were just talking about common people. Like, especially when we think about like what AI is doing to society on social media, the way we're able to manipulate like people. You can show someone giving a speech now, and you can fake the whole thing, right? So like the whole time we're watching this episode, I am thinking there's something dark and sinister happening that they're gaslighting this person by showing this person isn't saying what they're saying, but the other person is seeing something else because somehow they're projecting AI on top of their face, which to me was like a fucking dark, realistic answer to the problem within this episode. What I loved about this episode was the fact that Netflix, we talked about this last week, the fact that Netflix actually gaslights its own fans.
Yeah.
That you and I might have watched different episodes theoretically. We might have gotten different the fast food chain, the chicken chain. Like they literally changed the name of it depending on the time you're watching it. So like Black Mirror was gaslighting its own viewers, which is awesome. What a futuristic, brilliant idea. Uh, but man, you said it. The last 5 minutes, what the fuck was that? They had an answer. It wasn't like they had to go Deus Machina on us and they had this awesome idea, they didn't know how to end it. There was an obvious ending and they ruined it. Like what the fuck was that?
Yeah. Basically, someone wants a TLDR of the ending of Bete Noir. The character mentioned Verity, who has been, in fact, gaslighting the main character. It's revealed that she has this technology that has allowed her to she's omnipotent. She's this godlike figure. She's gone back through like all different time periods and can affect any reality she wants in any way. So
played it
basically,
over an infinite amount of times.
right. Yeah. So basically, anything she wants to happen can happen. And Deus Machina is the best way to describe it. There are no rules and nothing that is without of her reach or capabilities. And I just think inherently that's like no fun. Like, cool, you can do anything you want. Like, how interesting is that? Not. And in this case, she chooses to go to an office setting and get revenge over someone she considered a bully to her in high school.
But it's bizarre because what you just were alluding to, like it was relatable in the first sense. Like we've all been gaslit in some way in our life. We've all like dealt with confusion internally, like maybe we were the ones who were in the wrong, or we felt we were the only ones seeing something for what it was. We've all had probably some sort of fantasy about replaying someone who hurt us in high school or like getting back at something. Like it's a relatable episode, like to just the human psyche. And we've all been that person that has felt this way. So I did not understand what the end game was and why they decided to end it that way. Like it felt so deflating.
And when they're going through like the exposition on like the rules of this, I could not have been less interested. I was like, okay, well, if that's what it is, I'm out. You've lost me.
It just doesn't relate to what Black Mirror is.
It was pretty lazy.
It's very lazy and again unrealistic. And I'm not saying every episode of Black Mirror has been realistic, but isn't the point of Black Mirror to be like near future technology that is going to fuck with humanity?
Right. It's scarier if it's something that we're either on the precipice of or we already have.
Yeah, there's never going to be a technology that allows one person to have control over infinite universes.
Yeah. Yeah, and if there is, Biff Tannen has it.
Yeah. But like, yeah, I will say I don't want to say I'm hating on it. I did enjoy about 85% of this.
I do agree. And
the cast was well done. Again, it was relatable. It was, yeah, I don't know what they were thinking at the end.
The girl who played Verity was legitimately creepy.
Yes, she was.
And there was
We've all dealt with that high school person.
Yes, there's some really cool.
You
ideas.
and I have one.
We do. It was their birthday recently, actually. All right, ready to move on to episode 3?
Yeah.
Episode 3, Hotel Reverie. The plot synopsis. A high-tech, unusually immersive remake of a vintage British film sends Hollywood A-list star Brandy Friday into another dimension where she must stick to the script if she ever wants to make it home. This one was interesting to me because the technology in it, I don't think we're like that close to anything like this. Like I know we can recreate people with AI and deepfakes, but like someone like immersing themselves in a virtual reality world and filming it as a movie, I don't know, we could kind of be there. But the way that this played, I enjoyed this episode. It was interesting, and I actually would love watching the movie Hotel Reverie. Like if that was a real thing, I was kind of interested in the plot. However, the stakes in this, especially towards the end, where it was like this reality that she had to save, I just like Issa Rae's character, I wasn't like that invested in it. Like, it didn't really feel that important to me, even though I did like her and Emma Corwin's relationship, and I thought Aquafina was good in this too. The concept was cool. This one to me was just probably the most middle of the road episode here, only because I don't think it was trying for something crazy, and again, it wasn't like a scary thought or a vision of technology or like a dark version of the future. It was just kind of like a cool way to incorporate technology into movie making, and then inside of it there's this, like, I didn't really care about any of the fake people in this movie, what would happen to them.
Yeah, the deep fake technology here, again, we go back to Black Mirror touching on near futuristic technology that will absolutely happen. Issa Rae's character, I didn't mind her. She got a lot of heat on the internet, I feel like.
Really?
But I thought a
What were
lot
they
of
saying?
libraries didn't like her performance, but I was like, but her performance was what was required from her character, in my
It's
opinion.
weird to perform as someone performing also.
Right.
It's
So
kind of,
like a lot of people didn't like her, but I also felt like she was performing in a certain way as an actor who had never been into this technology, was very confused.
yeah, because
Like
even showing up to set, I don't think she really knew what it was.
right. So like they're like, oh, she wasn't acting well. But no, her character was meant to not be acting well. Like she was lost in whatever this was. But that could be debatable. But I did
And
feel
don't
like
get me
there was
wrong, she's not Daniel Day-Lewis in There Will Be Blood, but I'm with you.
exactly
I think she
no.
pulled off what the director was asking her to do.
Both my wife and I felt like she gave an like more than adequate performance. Um, the flaws on this episode were two things to me. It tried to be this season's San Junipero, which San
Yeah,
Junipero
well,
is
and isn't
maybe the
there even
most
like
emotional.
an Easter egg of San Junipero at the
Yeah,
end? Like her
yeah,
address is in San Junipero or
yeah.
something?
And I think it tried to replicate that. And the problem was with this, is my opinion, was it wasn't long enough. There wasn't enough connection between the characters that the world they got trapped in was only fundamentally what, a couple, like 20 minutes, 10 minutes, I don't know.
Yeah, and by the time Emma Corwin's character is actually like feeling the way she feels about Issa Rae's character, we're already like at least over halfway through the episode, if not more.
Exactly. So like I felt like the episode for the most part was more about the technology and her getting trapped in it, whereas San Junipero was about the relationship between the characters, and this one was lacking that. Like they put too much runtime on the other side of the movie making, of what the future of movie making might be. And I think that's where I still enjoyed this episode again. It was emotional. I thought the performance were really well. I got drawn in. But what kept this episode from being as good as, let's say, a San Junipero or others was the fact that it felt like it focused on the movie making and not the relationship.
And in San Junipero too, the reason that these people are in that world is like just devastating,
Right. Yeah.
and how they got there.
But yeah, I
So,
agree. I think the performance. Sorry, Aquafina was really good. Like her like nerves the episode, like throughout
oh
the
yeah,
episode
I gotta
was.
say this, Aquafina. I used to be like, dude, get her the fuck out of things. She's annoying. She's loud. I like her a lot now. Like when she's in something, I just think she's an interesting performer. And the what's her fucking? I think it's called the Farewell Tour that I saw where it was like her A24 crack
Yeah.
where she was incredible in it. So I have completely reversed course on Aquafina. I still don't like her in The Little Mermaid, but aside from that, I'm an Aquafina head.
She sells panicky to me, like in this episode,
Yes.
like uh, but yeah, yeah. Overall, my final thoughts were just this was a really good episode, well performed. I think it's weird to say this. It should have been 10 minutes longer,
Or they need to get into the relationship
or
stuff with them.
yes,
Yeah. Because
yeah,
to me,
or
that's
reduce other sides of it. Yeah,
right. So I know they want to, the technology is a really important part. Obviously, it's Black Mirror to the story here because it kind of sets up how they'll inevitably be trapped in this world together. But they spent a lot of time getting us into the movie making process. Like her whole like accepting the offer and then like gender swapping the role and all that. Like we really don't need that much backstory.
yeah, 100%.
All right. Episode, what is this? 4? Yeah. Plaything. Synopsis. In a near future London, an eccentric murder suspect is linked to an unusual video game from the 1990s, a game populated by cute, evolving artificial life forms. This is an unofficial sequel to Bandersnatch, I would say, because Will Poulter's character reprises his role in this. and is sort of the impetus for the plot here. I do think this has, in my opinion, the second strongest performance of the season in Peter Capaldi as the old man in
Yeah,
it.
he's fantastic.
And I loved the twist at the end of this.
Yep.
You could feel it setting up for something. Like it was sort of like a Dark Knight or like Saw-esque, where you're like, all right, this guy stealing a bottle of whiskey and getting put in prison, like it's just not adding up. You know, like
Yeah.
why he's in this room. He's either playing someone or like he's someone else. And I loved the end of it, the reveal. I don't know if we needed the like Bandersnatch tie-in. I guess it was kind of like a cool way to connect it to the rest of the universe. But this one was to me like just sort of like an interesting take on like I mean, he's not a serial killer in this, but it's like the guy who's captured and is being interrogated, and you really don't know who's in control the whole time. And then when you figure out it has been him the entire time, it's sort of like a cool. I just love movies like that where like the plot gets sort of flipped on its head. What did you think of Plaything?
This was the most hated in the nation White Bear and Shut Up and Dance episode of the season, in my opinion. So Hated in the Nation was the one we haven't talked about. Like that's actually one of my favorite episodes, where the bees, the technology about the bees like pollinating, but they're all drones and get
Is that the
hacked.
one with Benedict Wong?
I think so, yes.
Who plays Wong in the Doctor Strange movie?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's one of my favorite Black Mirror episodes ever. But that's like probably the most movie episode of Black Mirror. That's like the longest one. But when I say that, like that has one of the most shocking endings. That's what Plaything was. And you just felt the whole time, like you alluded to, I'm like sitting on the edge of my seat. Like, what's actually happening here? Right? Like he's into these characters. It's like playing Sims when we were kids, and you like relate to them. Are they real in a sort of way? Like we've started what Black Mirror has done so well. It started merging the blurred lines between us and technology and self-consciousness and AI. Like, at what level are they actually people? Or do they have feelings? And it makes you question things, even if you fundamentally don't. They believe like they don't.
Well, and like even if you take out like the actual concept that they could be real, like people's like there have been stories out there where people have been playing like a role-playing game, and if one of their characters dies, like they have committed suicide. They have like serious like emotional connections to video game characters.
These cookies, like what is real? Like that. Okay, fundamentally, this episode, whether you like it or not, goes into the core of what Black Mirror is. What is real? What is consciousness? What is emotion? Like, you can say the characters are crazy, but he developed a real connection to these. Like, what's the word for them?
I can't remember. I've seared into my brain though the noise they would make when
yeah. But like to me, it was relatable. Like like you felt sympathetic to the what is it? Throngs. I
that
think
sounds right. Yeah.
And it was just like he's put all this effort into it, and sometimes you see the cruelty and humanity, which is funny because it's not cruel. Like you see a human just kill all these fake characters, but someone put effort into that. Like if I went in and deleted your MVP dynasty that you've had for 30 years, would you not like be like connected to the characters?
Yeah, there would be some problems. I'd have to take at least 1 or 2 mental health days from work.
Yeah, it's funny how we develop these connections to inanimate things, but again, what Black Mirror does is shows us that it's not quite inanimate. So, this episode has a shocking ending, not necessarily one that even maybe the main character saw coming. I don't even know if he thought that was what the Throngs were going to hope for.
I think he fully knew. I don't know.
Yeah,
the whole time you're like, dude, this guy's obsessed with like getting a piece of a pen and paper.
He played it so well, though. You're right. This was one of the best performances of the season.
Yeah, Capaldi is awesome.
What were your thoughts?
Yeah. So Plaything to me again felt I think did a great job of incorporating plot with a cool use of technology in it. It was another episode that felt a little bit shorter than it needed to be, but also I don't know how much like it's conceptually like it doesn't have much to it. Like it's this guy's obsession with a game, and he's being interrogated by police over a crime that they think he's linked to. So there's really just not that many characters in it for it to like stretch out much further. But again, I think it was probably my favorite ending to an episode this season. Doesn't mean it's my favorite episode necessarily, but the best ending to any of the 6.
Yeah, is AI like at what point do we have sympathy for AI? It's a great question. Again, another relatable, realistic thing we're going to deal with humanity.
Yeah, and like what defines like humanity, right? Like if this guy in his head had a relationship like that to these artificial intelligence video game characters, like what is, I mean, he even says, I think at some point he's like, I'm paraphrasing here, but he's like, this was the most real relationship I've ever had in my life. You know, like he's never connected with humans that way.
Also, I'm not saying every human should die for that, but you know, is it inauthentic?
Also, even for the low bar that we have for the teeth of the British, that guy that was couch surfing with him had fucking horrendous dental situations.
he was as British as it gets.
I mean, my God. Like, and again, the Brits won't even try and argue this. Like, teeth is not their thing, but this guy was like in a league of his own when it came to.
I can't ever not think of Austin Powers going, I get it.
I have bad teeth. All right. Anything else on Plaything?
No, I was actually surprised. I felt like this episode got a little hate on the internet, and I'm like, I don't know why. It was Black Mirror to a T.
Interesting. I'll have to go back. I'm surprised by that in the Issa Rae thing, but you're way more plugged into like the Reddits.
Yeah, I live online. I have no life.
Yeah. All right. Episode 5.
You're supposed to say no, man. You're cool.
No, what?
You're like, yeah.
I'll edit in me arguing that you have a life. Eulogy, episode 5. The plot synopsis: an isolated man is introduced to a groundbreaking system that allows its users to literally step inside old photographs, stirring powerful emotions in the process. Paul Giamatti stars in this one. He's really the like only character in it. He's talking to Patsy Farron, who plays the guide in it as well. But for the most part, he's like the main person we follow here. What did you think of Eulogy?
And Paul Giamatti is someone you can trust with carrying a load.
Yeah.
Like he didn't need a supporting cast. I mean, he'd be fine with one, but like this one was
let him cook, as the kids say.
Yeah, let him cook. Yeah, this episode was the heartbreaker. This one was like Black Mirror always has a fucked up episode that like makes you just like sit there on your couch for a minute being like, oh my God, that was fucked up. And then there's the other episode of Black Mirror, but makes you like emotional. And that was this one. You and I have always had conversations about reliving past moments of our life and finding them to be like, they're as equal to the moments we're living right now.
Mm-hmm.
We just happen to be far removed from them. And so we get diluted, but like they still meant something to us. We can laugh about the times we're in high school, college, whatever, but they were still important as maybe immature or ridiculous as we were. And we've always talked about how like raw and authentic it can be. And like the old friendships we had with people, and we might not have talked about them for 10, 15 years, but they were still real, you know? Like this episode hit me hard because you and I have had those conversations. And Paul Giamatti was the perfect actor to sell this. This episode was heavy and emotional, relatable, and pure. Like I really love this episode in all the worst ways. Like this one hurt to watch.
Yeah, and the technology in this, like there's times you almost just forget it's a Black Mirror episode because it's really just a vehicle to have him go back and revisit those moments in his life. Some are happy, some are like very sad, and the whole time you're wondering like why he won't like really open up to this the person guiding him through the photos, like why you feel like he's sort of keeping something close to the vest about his relationship with the woman who passed away. But it's clear that like he wants to be there, but he also is not like fully willing to open up about what happened. Some of these moments, it's instances like when he was talking about the band that they had, and the one guy like just wasn't as serious about it. It's the conversations you and I always love to have. Like, what if something happened differently in your life? Like, where would you be now at this specific moment? And yeah, then the very end scene, like you said, just really, really drives the emotional point home of mortality. And he's seeing this person who I won't totally spoil the relationship they had, but someone passed away that used to matter to him. And by way of this technology, he's looking back on their life thinking like, you know what, maybe at this really pivotal moment between us, I either misjudged things or I made a mistake that is
We all have.
is unfortunately now like the legacy or the lasting memory he has with this person. So
We've all made mistakes. Like we've
it's
all
the
set the
mortality
vision
angle.
of, yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's what hurts about this. Like every person who's watched this episode, every person in existence has done something they regretted.
Yeah.
That if you play things out 5 different ways, life turns out differently. And maybe you're happy, and that's what that's the goal, right? Like I look back at life, I would make every decision the same. I'm so happy with my life. Like, but at the same time, you look back when you're older and there might be one or two things like you like, hey, you know what? I could have done this better. I didn't cherish this moment. I didn't cherish this friend. And it's just like, it's just too uncomfortable in a way because it's like everyone feels that. Like we think
When
of all these friends we used to have that we don't talk to anymore.
when Black Mirror is at its best, and it actually rarely makes this mistake now that I actually go back and think of it, but it doesn't use the technology that it's offering you or the like innovation as like the show. It's really just a vehicle to tell a story.
It's
So
human.
right. So instead of saying like, look at this cool idea for technology, it's saying, all right, this cool idea for technology is going to present an interesting idea that you're going to explore through a character. And this is one that it was 43 minutes. I could have used a full like hour, 40-minute movie of this.
Yeah.
Because I feel like not only could they go more in depth with each of the pictures that he had, but you could like add 3 or 4 more where he goes back and like traces, you know, we like add on
More
different
moments.
inflection points of in life in the story. Everything with the coupe, just I was not there, but it made me feel so nostalgic for like 1990s New York City.
Also, like I have scratched out Facebook yearbook pages of people.
Got to do it.
Like when I was in middle school, like absolutely I did. Like, you know, I cut out things, I got rid of pictures.
It
It's
just
so
sucks. He's
funny
like,
when
fuck, I did it to literally everyone. Like, there's not
everyone
one
of
that I
them like,
missed.
and it's funny when you're in the moment, you're like, this is healthy for me. But we all will look back on life. Again, this is gonna be corny as fuck. But we're all gonna look back on life and say this was a journey. The pros, the cons, the mistakes, the joys, like all the sadness. Like we're gonna cherish all of it. And so it's like,
Yeah, it's part
I
of the
don't know that.
story.
Yeah, it's all part of a story. When we read a book, when we watch a movie, why do we love these movies? Because it wasn't all happy. We watch these movies because there's moments of sadness, there's moments of joy, there's moments of like growth. When we look back on life, we're gonna relate to this. And that this episode, fuck, was so raw in that sense. So like
I
again,
will
and I'm
say,
gonna go back to Paul Giamatti.
oh,
Perfect
he's
cast.
awesome. He's awesome because he's so unassuming, and he's like the guy who he does a really good job of being like he's like world weary and he's burdened and he's a little like rough around the edges, but he's also still so endearing. He's not like Mr. Wilson, where from Dennis the Menace, where it's like, dude, this guy's just a fucking angry old dickhead.
Yep.
He's like upset, but you're also kind of like he's so affable still, where you're like, I kind of want to scratch and try and get through this tough exterior of yours. Like you're worth it to me. One
Yeah.
minor thing I want to say, this is just like the minorest of nitpicks. Spoiler, big time spoilers for what the fuck's the name of this episode? I already forgot. Eulogy. Skip ahead 30 seconds. But when he's going through the photo of the hotel room and he somehow has that note that she wrote him like
Yeah.
6 years. I'm like, dude, in a shoebox, really? Like, you know exactly where it is? Come on. No, I know that's like the key to the entire plot, and you, as the audience, like you wanted him to have it, even though you kind of know you can kind of tell like what's in it, basically. But I was like, dude, there's no way you'd be able to dig that thing up from like 40 years ago and know exactly where it was.
Unless that's all he had in life, so you know.
Sure.
I don't know. We don't have but you know, I agree with that 100%.
But this one tugged on my heartstrings. I probably more like it was probably the episode that tried to do it more than any other episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely the string it was pulling on was attached to something. Let me put it that way. All right. Anything else on Eulogy?
Nah.
All right. Moving on to the last episode, episode 6, USS Callister, Into Infinity. The plot synopsis is Robert Daly is dead, but now the crew of the USS Callister, led by Captain Nanette Cole, are stranded in an infinite virtual universe, fighting for survival against 30 million players. Cycly, two things. Number one, is this the first ever direct sequel Black Mirror has done to a previous episode? Like a direct continuation?
Yeah, I believe so. There's plenty of Black Mirror universe relation.
Mm-hmm.
We've gotten a lot of references in Black Mirror episodes to other episodes, but in terms of storyboard, yeah, it has to be.
And USS Callister was what, like 2 seasons ago?
Might have been 3 episodes. I feel like it was season 4. It was one of the. It was one of the first ones on Netflix.
It is like a cult classic season or episode. One of the
it's
best
one of my
casts I've ever
favorites.
had. Yeah, it's really, really
It's
good.
let's see, 4th season of Black Mirror. First episode in 4th season.
Nice. And you watched this episode first. Obviously, the episode order of the Black Mirror seasons don't matter because it's episodic, not serialized. But this is the one you first went to. Do you remember why that was? Like, why were you so interested in this one first?
For the reason you just said, it was their first like direct sequel, and also I not for Black Mirror reasons. I just love USS Callister. It was when it came out, I felt like it was easily the most rewatchable, like just fun episode. I would actually like put it on when I went to bed. Like it was like just this
Oh, nice.
episode I would have like as a repeated because it was dark but not like overly dark. It was funny, it's dramatic, it had action. It was just like an episode of Star Trek or something. Like it was fun. Like I always enjoyed it. So like it didn't have like it had as obviously a dark element to it at the ending.
I forgot Billy Magnuson was in this.
Yeah.
I love him and everything, even though he plays the same fucking guy. Jimmy Simpson, of course, is great. Our girl Kristen Milioti, incredible.
Girl. Yeah.
And then big time spoilers. If you don't know, skip ahead. Jesse Plemons comes back, and not just a little blink and you miss it
right?
cameo. Yeah,
There was no way you could have done without him.
When I asked you if he was in it, you were like, "Do you want me to spoil it for you?" And I was like, "All right, you know what? Shut up. Don't tell me."
I was like,
Save me from myself. So, what do you think of USS Callister Into Infinity?
Did we need this? No. Did I love it? I liked it like a lot. Like it was fun. Again, it was the way I described USS Callister 5 seconds ago. Like it's not the most Black Mirror episode in sense of like darkness or like rawness or emotion, but it's a fun concept.
I just like the universe they're in.
Yeah. The idea that I can go put my brain in a video game and like be in space and play these games. So again, I understand the undertones.
Them killing the people without
episode.
gamer tags is hilarious.
Yeah. I get like the undertones are very dark and manipulative and suggestive of what you can do with these clones. Like, yeah, that is really fucked up. So like I'm not saying this isn't dark. It is. But like the way these episodes are run, they're very fun. And yeah, that's why I was like really like excited when I heard they were doing this. I had a feel like they didn't actually say that Jesse Plemons was going to be back, but it's like how could he not be?
Right.
I was waiting for that, and I thought the way they brought him back wasn't like we're watching a sequel of any movie. You're like, oh, okay, somehow Palpatine returned. Like it made sense in a world like if in this world that we're creating, like okay, his character is now a clone in itself and developing how this video game continues to
it's
grow.
like, I mean, who else would be the one developing this world?
Yeah. So I bought it. I bought in 100%, and I truly liked it. Like I said, did we need it? No. But like, man, the cast is so fun to have together again. The concept is fun. It's ridiculous. It's funny. Yeah, I had a blast.
Yeah, Jimmy Simpson takes a bigger role in this one. Which is fine. It's great. I like Jimmy Simpson, especially after Westworld. This episode's too long. It's an hour and 29 minutes. That's a little ridiculous for even a Black Mirror episode. But I was kind of surprised, even though they do retread like sort of the same main idea, which is kind of what we talked about with Plaything. These artificial characters still have a humanity to them, and we find ourselves as the audience like wanting them not to be hurt, even though we're told that they're fake and digital. They took that concept and it didn't really feel tired. It kind of felt like they had a different take on it, or at least like expanded on a little bit. And I think what makes this so interesting is even if you just take it almost at face value, it's just like a cool, fun episode of Star Trek, which is
Yeah,
also
exactly.
the appeal.
It's just fun. The action, there's a little bit of action. The characters are ridiculous. But
Yeah,
you're rooting for, you have a good guy and you have a bad guy.
yeah. So I did think this was definitely a success. I don't know how many other concepts or episodes, not many of them are out there that Black Mirror could say we could do a follow-up to this, because most of them are very still very final, or like there's a finality to the way they end. Especially some of the darker ones. But this was kind of a cool one that they went back to. The only thing I'll say is Jimmy Simpson's character, not actually dying in the first one, that was kind of an eye roll for me. But everything, I cared way more about that person being brought back to life in this than I did about them creatively inserting Jesse Plemons back into it. Maybe because I want Jesse Plemons in everything, so I will clearly bend over backwards to make it work.
I'll never not know Jesse, because I first, obviously, like most people, discovered him from Breaking Bad, and his
For me, it was
original
Friday Night Lights.
For me, his original nickname was Meth Damon.
Oh yeah.
Which is so
awesome.
Perfect.
It's so great. Whoever came up with that, I hope they're doing okay. I hope they
should be. They absolutely should.
There's one, he's like tells me about the bar. I actually came up with that. I'm like, all right, yeah, sure, Randy. I swear.
Come on, man, I really did.
I was the first one.
Yeah, it's. They could do. I mean, like you said, it's like a Star Trek episode. Like, you could do one of these all the time, but I just want to play one of these video games.
I know. The technology, this is one that I don't think we're that close to it, unfortunately. But if there's anything that is having money pumped into it as far as innovation goes, it's gaming. So rest assured, we'll get there soon.
I played a few AI games, not AI games, sorry, virtual reality,
mm-hmm.
and it is fucking trippy when you put that mask on. It is weird.
I did VR at your house one time, and it was fucking intense.
It's weird. It's
I don't think I liked it.
It takes you out. I played one of those games and I was jumping off a cliff, and my stomach acted like I was 12 stories up.
Yep, don't like it.
And even though I knew, I was like, bro, you're in your living room.
Am I though?
Am I? Because your brain's going, no, you're not. We'll see how it gets better. It's scary, actually. So
yeah, it's probably the fastest developing technology out there. All right, what else? Anything else on USS Callister Into Infinity?
No, I had fun. I had fun. I mean, I don't know if we need, like I said, I already said we didn't need it. Maybe they were running out of ideas, so they came out with a plot. But
yeah, I guess let me ask this. Obviously, not knowing what the trade-off would be, it's almost impossible to answer. But if I said you can take before the season, you can take a sequel to USS Callister, or you can just reach into the grab bag and Black Mirror will just come up with another dark idea for an episode, what would you have wanted? Probably the sequel, right?
I don't know. That's a really good question.
Because I feel like Black Mirror, we get so little of it, which is inherently, I think, part of the appeal, that telling me that there's another cool concept that they had that they would have made into an episode is also tempting. It's
tempting because also I feel like Black Mirror's kind of missed the bus here in the last couple of years. And so I'm like, give it more shots. Eventually you're going to hit the dartboard. USS Callister has one of been one of my favorites, but I also, like I said, I don't feel like we needed anything out of it. It didn't end, and I felt like I got anything more from it. Again, that sounds like a complaint outside of being entertained, but isn't that what they're here to do?
Right.
So, who am I complaining?
Black Mirror's what did you want us to do?
you entertained me, so you did a good job. I am a weird.
Black Mirror does make you think. That's.
I want Black Mirror to fuck me up. I want Black Mirror to make me so depressed I can't sleep. So I'm a weird person.
Yeah. All right, you ready to do our rankings?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's count down 6 to 1. I'll go first.
Yeah.
I think we both have the same number 6. My number 6, worst episode of the season, mainly because of the ending. Bete Noir with the Deus Machina.
100%. Yeah, completely agreed. And it might have been higher outside of that ending.
Yeah, as far as ideas, there's a lot going for it here, but it is kind of contingent on, do you stick the landing? You can have a great flow routine. If you fucking face plant at the end, no one cares.
Yeah.
All right, what's your number 5?
Hotel Riviera.
Yeah, Hotel Reverie.
Riviera.
Not as cool of a concept, I think, as some of the other episodes. And like you said, the central relationship in it just didn't really get enough of it here. Not a bad episode by any
No.
means, but
If I compared this to season 6 or 5, like this would be much higher. Like again, I just think they should have spent more time on the connection. It just didn't develop the emotion to me as much as it should have.
yeah, and it's basically what the whole episode is kind of hinging on. Number 4, what's your number 4?
Ooh, this is where we get tough. I think I might go. Ugh, I keep going back and forth. I'm gonna go USS Callister.
Wow, me too. So
Oh
damn it.
shit!
It's so boring. We have the same fucking
Damn
list, but
it!
it's cool when we.
It's
USS Callister into Infinity, number 4 for me. Didn't quite make the top half of the season. Again,
yeah, and it's not because of a complaint. It's just it didn't do anything, but it be entertaining, which is not shouldn't be an insult.
right. I think it was still a success. I would not say that like I wish they didn't make this sequel, but not much new introduced, and sort of the like fear and like the central tenet that it's putting technology sort of front and center is essentially the same exact thing. Which I don't know if they would have like been able to make a like vastly different statement with technology or find a different way to use it, but it was basically like a rehash.
Exactly.
Although it is kind of cool for once to see like the repercussions of what happens in one of these episodes.
That's true. Yeah.
Because the company is like fucking Jimmy Simpson, that meeting has with the reporter. He's basically like hits the fucking panic button for the company.
That is true. That is the first time we've gotten that.
Yeah. All right, number 3.
Ooh, I think I'm going. I'm wondering if we're gonna keep agreeing. So like I'm like nervous about it. I think I'm gonna go Plaything.
God damn it! That's what
Are
I
you
have at number
kidding
3.
me?
Yeah. Now Plaything, I will be honest. 1, 2, and 3, I had at a certain point today, I had each of these in the number 1 spot. I just was kind of going back and forth. Plaything to me, best ending, like best reveal of any of the episodes. I don't know if this is my own fault, but the entire episode, at least like the latter half of it, I found myself like the character itself is not that interesting. Peter Capaldi gives a great performance because it's harrowing and intense, but I wasn't like really invested in what was happening to him. I just found myself more wanting to know, all right, what's this guy's plan? And as a result, like a lot of the stuff that I don't know if I was supposed to be like emotionally hurt when those throngs got killed, but I really didn't give a shit. I just wanted to see what he would do.
Oh, that's funny because I actually felt like really sad about the throngs, and I was like, "Fuck humanity, we don't deserve it."
You're not wrong.
Like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. One of my top 3 too. Like this, I really want us to be actually different. And at this point, I think we're going to be the same. But
I don't know.
I think that was the one thing about this episode that was lacking was we did get the rawness of the end, but when I think of the like darkest episodes of Black Mirror, the intrigue and the dread was with me from the get-go. When you think of like White Bear and you think Shut Up and Dance, it doesn't leave you. And the only moments you got that in this episode were the moments you're watching the throngs get killed and then the end.
Yeah, this and Shut Up and Dance, although they're very, very different, the one thing you do have the entire time is that sort of impending feeling of like something bad is going to happen here pretty soon. Yeah. Like we're watching the dominoes be set up. All right, the last 2 episodes deal with, again, that theme of mortality. My number 2, I actually had Common People with Rashida Jones.
Oh, for finally different. All right, I'm a Eulogy.
Okay, perfect. So, yeah, the reason I had Eulogy over Common People is this one just, like you said, hit me hard. Like, just reliving memories from your past and seeing how they take on sort of a different meaning and a more important meaning as your life is, getting, like in Paul Giamatti's case, like someone he loved and cared about died. So he's probably thinking about his own mortality. And then just like you said, what is life if not this collective of your memories and moments that you have to look back on? So that to me really hit home. The Common People one, probably the saddest episode. I think it's kind of a beautiful episode in a lot of ways when you think of Chris O'Dowd's, like you said, commitment to someone that he loves. It just didn't, it hit me, but Eulogy, I think, this is just a testament to Eulogy over Common People, not the other way around. How about you?
Yeah, the only separation there, I agree with you. Eulogy was more emotional and relatable in my head. What put Common People at number 1 to me was this is something, like I said at the beginning, I can absolutely see happening in humanity. and we're already under subscription services. I think is really meta and probably poignant on the point of Black Mirror to put this one on Netflix. Now that Netflix has started their own subscriptions, like
Yeah, it
Netflix is
is.
always,
It's like meta within meta, where it's like, dude, Netflix, your pricing and lack of account sharing is like the worst of any of the
they
streaming.
didn't used to be like this, right?
No.
Like, so like I felt like it was a point Charlie Booker's probably trying to make. Um, I mean, maybe I can't speak for him, but we can all take that's the whole point of art, right? Like we interpret the way we do. So the only reason Common People is number one to me is because a lot of times I look at Black Mirror and say, is that going to happen? And Common People, in my opinion, humanity is not above paying and charging for subscription services even to keep someone alive.
I told you this after I watched Common People. I think we're within a decade of some iteration of that actually happening in them. I mean, you think about how
100%.
for profit the medical field is as is.
100%.
Yeah, that's absolutely.
Yeah. Eulogy was more emotional to me, but I ranked it on what's realistic because that's what I've loved about Black Mirror. Like I said, overall, I don't know if any of these episodes fit into my top 5 of Black Mirror.
It's a really tough list to crack.
Yeah, when I think about the Black Museums, the Hate in the Nation, the White
Black
Bears,
Museum, the one with Letitia Wright.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great one. Another awesome twist at the end.
Well, yeah, amazing twist. But it was still a great season compared to especially the last 2 we've had.
Yeah. Very pleased with both the number of episodes we got and then what we got. I don't think there's an episode I disliked. I didn't like the ending to Bete Noir, but the rest of we said the gaslighting stuff was really interesting.
Maybe they gaslit us. That was the whole point. Maybe that was the issue.
They'll try and spin it that way.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Anything else on Black Mirror season 7?
No. As always, I don't know if Charlie Booker is getting sick of it or not, but I hope he keeps pumping them out. As long as it keeps them raw and original, it's like the M. Night Shyamalan. Like, I might hate them, but I'll still watch them.
Absolutely. And I don't know what his deal is, but I do feel like he got to the point a few years ago where he was getting a little burnt out and Netflix gave him a break. Like, he took 2 years off and then he came out with that 3-episode season. So he really did like 3 episodes in 3 years.
I think COVID didn't help.
Yeah.
Like, everything was already depressed enough.
Yeah, it was like, does the world need Black Mirror right now?
Yeah,
like, we are living in. Like,
we needed Ted Lasso at that time.
Yeah, Black Mirror at that point is like running a trick play when you're up like 5 touchdowns.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah,
dude, we
already
get it. It's over. Like, stop. All right, the second part of our show is our protein shake, where we go around and talk about what's in our cup, also known as what have we watched lately. Cycling, I don't have much because I know you and I are going to talk about you probably next episode or whenever you finish season 5, the last season. So we'll tease there. I did watch Black Mirror season 7, and I'd like to go through all 6 episodes.
You know what we should do? We should rank them after discussing them.
Fucking stupid. Why would anyone want to listen to that?
God damn it! I'm sorry.
I only have 2 things, and I'm going to talk about them both very briefly. Do you want?
You
to
start
go
with
first?
your first. I only have like one thing, and then we'll go back to you.
Okay. I watched Final Destination Bloodlines.
Oh my god.
I watched this at our local library. So
I'm so excited to watch this.
Yeah, it's in great quality.
Does anyone die
in Final Destination?
No, I would hope not.
It's a beautiful romance. I gotta say, I have been a cursory fan of the Final Destination movies. I think I like the set pieces more than I like the individual movies. But for some reason, this maybe just because it had been so long since we had one, the trailer for this really had me intrigued, and the movie's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie.
Are there any bad ones? Let's be honest.
Like, what's the like a bad Final Destination movie is still like pizza. Like, if it's bad, it's still not that bad.
I'm still gonna eat Little Caesars. That's what
exactly. This one, I don't like. I'm not like caught up on my Final Destination lore, and I don't really think it tries to tie itself. Even though the title Bloodlines, you're like, oh, is it like trying to relate one of these characters to someone from like some of the originals? I don't think it really tries to do that, but it has 2 things that you want in Final Destination. Number one, an incredible penchant for like making fun of itself. Like, most of the kills are done comedically, or I think one thing Final Destination has just a huge advantage in like the concept of it is it will not only telegraph a lot of the kills, but then it will comedically fake telegraph a kill. Like, someone will be like drop their glasses and they're like struggling for their books and they're like walking through traffic as cars miss them, and then they'll get up, walk across the street, and a piano will fall on their head.
I love it.
So it's like
That's what you want.
exactly. It has a lot of fun in that way. And I will not spoil what happens for you, but I put in my Letterboxd review, bumped it up a half star for what happens in the last 2 seconds of the movie. A really fucking cool way to end a Final Destination film.
Where does it rank?
I think it's the third best for me. I think the second one
That's
is the
actually
best.
really impressive.
Second one is the best. The first one is second best, and then I put this one there. So I liked it a lot, and I would highly recommend you check it out.
I mean, as long as it keeps the spirits up of the original.
Yeah, it doesn't get too self-serious, which this day and age I could see a studio being like, take this concept, but make it serious. And it's like, that's not what this is. You can't do it that way. There's just no way.
I did like a recent binge of like all of them right before this, and like they're all just fun. Like I'm not saying like they're all great. Like I wouldn't put them with like the Scream franchise or anything, but like they do what they're supposed to do. They're ridiculous.
I nominated it not for thriller or horror for the Oscars, but for a blockbuster movie of the year, because I feel like that's more what this is. Like it's an audience. I wish I could have seen it in theaters, but it's like an audience experience where everyone's just kind of like laughing at it, having a blast, and like hoping they see the most gruesome kill humanly possible. And you get that. So Final Destination, Bloodlines. Cycly, what is in your cup? What have you seen lately?
Well, I do want to make a point really quickly. This isn't something I've watched recently. I mean, I did actually watch recently, was Star Wars Episode 4. I want to say I have a friend here where we live who's watching the Star Wars franchise for the very first time.
Wow, that's awesome.
And yeah, she's never seen any of them. Her husband, she's watching them from one in chronological order. So
that's probably the hardest thing about doing this for the first time
yes.
is there's so many different ways to go about it.
There was a huge debate. I told her to watch it in machete order.
Is machete order basically release order?
No, machete order is 4, 5, 2, 3, 6. You never heard of machete order?
I mean, what you just said makes no sense.
Okay. Oh, hold on. We're gonna have a whole discussion on machete order really quick.
Why do you watch Jedi after Revenge of the Sith?
Okay, 4, 5 is the story of Luke.
Okay.
2, 3 is the story of Anakin, and then they merge together in 6.
So when do we get the story of like Anakin being found?
Episode 1 needs one. You don't need the trade wars.
Yeah, you don't need the pod race and Duel of the Fates. Good point.
I mean, no. I love Duel of Fates. I'm just saying it adds nothing to the story. You can easily.
Why do you start with Luke before Anakin, though?
I mean, yes, you could start with Anakin because it keeps the reveal of them. I guess I don't know, but there's a whole thing. You've never heard of Machete Order? Go look.
I mean, I've heard of it, but what you just said is like nonsense to me.
It's like it goes Luke story, Anakin story,
and I love how they just leave out episode 1.
Yeah, they really do, because it's like it doesn't add anything. Like, yes, it is great in its own way, but as someone who loves episode 1, I will tell you, I watched episode 4. She in her process with her, and episode 1 was her favorite leading into episode 4. She liked episode 1 more than 2 and 3.
So did she watch all the prequels first?
Yeah, she watched it in chronological order.
And she liked episode 1 the most. That's interesting.
Yeah. She said she loved Duel of the Fates, the pod racing.
Did she like Jar Jar?
She definitely made comments about the maybe a little questioning to Jar Jar's ethnicity.
Okay. The Trade Federation guys are insane. And when you go back and rewatch,
there's a lot of question marks. So I just wanted to say I rewatched with someone. We had a whole group party to watch A New Hope. And so like I got to watch A New Hope with someone who's never seen A New Hope. And
I would just be staring at them the whole time for the reaction.
I was like, so what do you think?
That's a space station.
Very much enjoyed it, so I'm excited because we're all gonna watch episode 5, which is my favorite here, probably tomorrow or Friday. But anyway, it was just fun to watch the concept, and the most funny part about this is she went from watching probably the most epic lightsaber duels And then A New Hope is like
The worst one
it's
you've ever
so
seen. Two geriatric fucks. One of them is like literally trying to get killed.
yeah, and it's funny you should make it from the acting abilities and like how bad George Lucas's writing was. But Mark Hamill is not the best. Like he does grow into his character, but he is a whiny bitch in A
But yeah,
New
he's
Hope.
written. I was gonna go talk to you about
Yeah,
American.
but she did admit like it was like she loved it. It was like everyone in the room was like so excited for her to watch it because there was a bunch of Star Wars nerds like me in there. So it was just cool to see. Probably first time in my life that I've like adult life that I've like watched that movie
Yeah, that's really
with
cool.
someone. Yeah.
In a weird way,
Um,
I'm jealous. You know, you and I always talk about like, man, I wish I could rewatch The Dark Knight for the first time. Like
yeah.
that's how it would be with Star Wars.
You're living through it. And she was asking questions, like a lot of it like rhetorical. We're like, we're not gonna answer you. You need to go through this process.
Yeah, we didn't
uh
know when we watched it.
yeah, exactly. She was literally like why she knew enough to be like Leia and Luke are brother and sister. Like, why are they kissing? I was like, well, I gave her some fun facts. Like they
George
weren't
Lucas didn't
originally.
know. Right.
A lot of this was retconned. So yeah, it was fun to watch A New Hope through someone else's eyes. And the only other thing I watched, which I was talking to you about right before pod, was a murder mystery delicious whodunit on Netflix called The Residence. My wife and I are only 2 episodes in. Um, this is a show it seems right now to take place in one night, and it's about the White House staff. There's a dinner party going on between the president of the United States and the prime minister of Australia, and the um the one of the heads of the White House staff dies, and some of the White House staff want to say, oh, it's definitely a suicide, but like they bring in an amazing detective, essentially, a Benoit Blanc, to say. They make a lot of references to other murder mysteries, and she's immediately like, "This is not. This is made to look like a suicide." And
Interesting.
so the whole point of it is like, there's a big party going on at the White House, but they're trying to be like cool about it and solve this murder mystery and interview people while this is happening.
Yeah, so are they trying to like keep the murder a secret from like the public or the press?
At the moment, yes. So like I said, I'm only 2 episodes in, and it's obviously not going well. And the way I don't want to give any spoilers. It did come out a few weeks ago, but like at some point they're keeping it within the White House. So people within the White House, including the dinner party guests, are starting to learn of they keep calling it a quote unquote incident.
Mm.
And so everyone's a suspect, including the prime minister of Australia. Like everyone is like being looked at. So it's like I actually the head. I think it was the butler. I think it was his official position, the head butler of the
Have
White
you figured out
House.
yet why someone would want them killed, or is that a reveal to be given to us
So
later?
if anything, we have one suspect because she wanted his position.
Okay.
And she thought he was retiring and he decided not to retire. This is revealed quite early in the show, so I don't feel like I'm giving a spoiler. He she was basically assuming she was going to take over as head butler and finds out that he ends up deciding not to retire. Now we don't know why all of a sudden he decided not to retire. We don't know what just happened.
Okay.
But I also feel like that's a red herring. We want to suspect her.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's if it's that obvious that early, usually it's not that person, but also maybe it's a red herring. Red herring.
Yeah. Right, and that's why I keep telling my wife. Like I'm like, but do they want me to not think it's her because it's so obviously her?
And the writers of the show are like, "You're a fucking crazy person."
Yeah, but they want me to think it's
Oh,
her, so
you'd
it's
like
not
me to
her,
think
so it
that,
is
wouldn't
her.
you? Yeah.
It's
Nice
basically the
try.
Princess Bride with the whole like poison class. Like he's like, oh, but it's you wouldn't put the poison in front of me, but you knew that, so you're gonna put the poison away from
Or
you,
what does
but you
Dwight
knew
Schrute
that.
say? It's always the person I most medium
Yes,
suspect.
exactly. So
So
why I don't know. I think it's 8 episodes total. They're all about 15 minutes long. We're 2 episodes in. Like it's definitely black comedy. It's not quite Knives Out or Clue in terms of the comedy. It's a little more like taking it seriously, but we're being entertained.
50 minutes, man, that's like a little bit too long. per
It is
episode.
longer than we wanted.
And I know this is going to make no sense, but they could add 2 episodes and just cut each episode down 10 minutes, and for me, it would be much more palatable. And I know it's essentially the same runtime, but it's just more digestible when the episodes are shorter.
Yeah, we actually started it because we thought it was going to be 30 minutes episodes, and then we were like, oh, that wasn't the case.
Yeah, then once you get in, you're committed. All right. I'm definitely going to check this out. It's on my list. My literal list on Netflix. You got anything else?
No, that's it.
All right, last thing I'll say, I watched this today. I have no idea why. I just remembered that you and I had watched the original a little while back, and I was like, that was really stupid. And they made 9 of them. I watched Leprechaun 2.
Wow.
Yes, the first
Wait.
Leprechaun. I don't think we did a commentary on it, but did we do a commentary on it?
I think so. And wait, have you never seen Leprechaun 2?
No, I hadn't.
Wow.
Have
okay.
you?
No, because I remember you telling me about Leprechaun 1. I assumed you just kept it going.
No. They get a little crazy. Like I saw Peacock has almost all these, and there's like Leprechaun in space, which really has me intrigued. But Leprechaun 2, I decided just give it a shot. This came out in 1994, which I believe was like a few years after the original with Jennifer Aniston. And I'm looking at it now just to see if we did a commentary on it. No, we did not on the first one.
I swear something happened on this pod with the Leprechaun.
We definitely talked about it at some point. I'm not sure to what extent. Leprechaun 2 was a bad movie. I don't think that will surprise anyone to say. It looks like crap. It's kind of funny in some instances, but it like thinks that it's being funny, which makes it a lot less funny. Like it's not trying to be serious. There's no really cool kills. Doesn't really connect to the first one. And even at an hour 25 minutes, I was like, all right, bro, let's fucking wrap this thing up. So
I always love when an hour 25 minutes in one movie can be equal to like 3 hours in another movie.
It's all about what you do with the runtime. And this one, I will say, it doesn't like spend a lot of time like giving you exposition or lore, like telling you like why the Leprechaun. I mean, not that you give a shit why he's doing what he's doing. You get all that pretty much in like the like opening scene to it. But I think I guess issue with this movie thing I'm kind of confused with. No one, like the Leprechaun in this one is basically like walking around West Hollywood. And no one is like, I get the whole trope of like, oh, it's Hollywood or it's New York. You see a lot of weird things in people. But in this one, like no one bats a fucking eye at this guy as he's just like walking down the street. At one point, he like rips a dude's finger off on like West Hollywood Boulevard, and people just keep walking by. I'm like, look, I get LA is probably crazy, but I don't think that happens. Like a fucking leprechaun rips.
Shows what you know.
Also, one last thing, and then I'll just stop because it's Leprechaun 2. But at one point, he steals a go-kart at a go-kart racing track. And then later when he like crashes the car, you see that he somehow had time to give it a leprechaun paint job with like his face on it. I'm like, they just find a go-kart that.
So he's efficient.
I guess. Yeah, they just didn't show that part where he took it to like the body shop, which would have been great to see. I'm like the guy in Harry Potter is like, when does Harry Potter pee?
She never wrote that he went to the bathroom the whole time. What the fuck?
It's not like that's where you lose me. That's where I lose you? Okay. The wizarding school, but you don't get to see Harry Potter pee. Okay. Touch grass, bro. All right. That does it for me. You got anything else? I think I already asked you that.
Are you excited to continue the story, or you think you're done?
I might try Leprechaun in space. I might give that a poke.
How can you not? Do you think they meet up with the Final Destination? Not Final Destination. Fast and Furious people in space?
At this point, I think even Leprechaun's like, we're not that ridiculous.
You don't think Vin Diesel will fit in this universe?
I would love to see Vin Diesel and Leprechaun actually share a scene.
Who's the more ridiculous one in which universe to you? Vin Diesel in the Leprechaun universe, or Leprechaun in the Fast and Furious universe?
I will say the Leprechaun has more range.
Okay. Well.
Vin Diesel. Leprechaun only speaks, at least in this one. I don't remember if he did this in the first one. Did he only talk in rhymes in the first one?
You're asking the wrong person with the first one.
Because he does it here, and And it is one time he like I can't remember what the word is, but he like bends a word to make it rhyme. And one this is probably the best moment of the movie. One of the actors just kind of call him out. He's like, "That's not really a rhyme." Kind of like bent that one. And he's like,
I
"Ah, you're right."
swear you did a commentary on this.
It's I
Like
looked it up on
maybe
our
it's one of our
channel.
lost commentaries that we don't talk about to this day.
I'll check again, but I'm not seeing it.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe Weez was like, "That's not getting uploaded."
We haven't done that in a while though.
That's true. We have matured beyond our years.
Yeah, if I'm spelling Leprechaun right, Leprechaun, we got nothing.
Somewhere out there.
But now the people want it, and people at home are like, you can't tease us with that." All right, that brings us to the last part of our show. Do you even lift, bruh? We ask a question, as the bird said, that we leave you guys with. Today's question: the continuing countdown of each of the bros' top 100 movies of all time. The list is linked in the description of this podcast episode. We're down into the nitty gritty cycle. We're within the top 30. Tonight, we're just going to do our number 28 movie of all time. Before we do that, though, as always, for our new listeners or the people who just love hearing it because it's comfort food, how would you describe these top 100 lists? They are not a curated list of great pieces of cinema. They are very unique to each person counting them down.
Yeah, exactly. This is your top 100. It's your definition. It can be Academy Award winning movies. It can be movies that are just like atrocious. It can be whatever you want. It can be a movie that made you happy in a certain way, made you cry in a certain way. You watched in a vulnerable time in your life. It's really fun to revisit when you think about all the movies you've ever watched in your life and how they impacted you differently and entertain you differently. So it's been a fun exercise we've done here on the Bro Force Squad, and it's not easy, and it's been and sometimes you feel like you say something out loud and you're like, actually no, I feel worse about that movie, I feel better about that movie. uh it's an exercise I think you should all do, because we've all watched hundreds if not thousands of movies in our lifetime, and yeah, it's fun to revisit.
Yeah, and this list specifically, like as we continue to go through it, um, you will see a lot of it's very eclectic. Like each bro has, just because you said each movie has like a different reason for being on the list, so we kind of run the gamut in terms of genres. So number 28 on our list, Cycly, your number 29 movie last we checked in was Seven, the David Fincher classic. What is the number 28 movie of all time, one ahead of Seven on your list?
You're gonna love this. Saw.
Wow, nice.
The original Saw. Now, you and I have, for the most part, watched almost all of the Saw movies together. You and I have done commentaries on every Saw movie, but for the newest two or three. The only Saw movie I think you and I did not watch together was the original. And I remember to this day when we were in high school, we were hanging out at your house, probably playing MVP or NCAA, and you were like, dude, I watched this movie, you have to go see it. And so I went and watched Saw, and it changed our lives. Like it's
Dude,
crazy to think about the fact
no
that
joke.
like how much we are still where we are today, 20 plus years later, and Saw is so much a part of our lives. Tobin Bell is still a part of our lives, and when we look at the first one, and it still has a decent Danny Glover, who we love. Like this might be, if not, like we were just talking about, my movie right before this was Seven, right? These two movies back to back, some of the craziest twist endings we've ever seen. And Saw,
My reaction in theaters to Saw's Twist was an audible gasp,
I don't know
and it
how
is coming up on my list still. I'll say that.
I wish for everyone to watch this movie without spoilers.
Yeah.
And probably, I know we're probably, we're 20 years now from the original Saw. It's probably impossible to watch this without spoilers. Maybe we're far enough to where you actually can start watching it again without spoilers. But it's not just the reveal; it's the score.
Ugh.
The score that
I had no
accompanies.
idea going that hard. It's still
Yeah.
on both of our workout playlists,
Oh,
isn't
dude,
it?
I will when I'm running or like doing any sort of cardio or lifting and it happens to come on my list, I'm like, I will
That
give the hardest
dun,
effort. Da, da,
dun,
da. Oh fuck. It's
shim
so
dum
Charlie
dum.
Clouser, man. Uh
Unreal.
it's one of the best horror movies. I wouldn't say it's like one of the reasons it's not as high on my list as 28 is like it's not that scary to me. But this kind of horror doesn't really like freak me out. Like it's very uh just blood. It's
Well, it's weird
gore.
because
That's
you
what
and I
does it.
talk about this on multiple commentaries, specifically Saw 5, but we are obsessed and in love with this franchise, but
Yes.
we don't care about the traps.
It has nothing to do with that.
Zero.
It's the emotional
You
impact
take
of
every
these
trap out of
films.
every movie, and you and I would be fine.
And we can argue all day whether these films do it well. They don't, but like we're still bought in. I will again, M. Night Shyamalan, whatever. We will pay our $10 to go in and see these movies. We've done it enough times now and been disappointed enough times, and then Saw X rewarded us. But this film has a rawness, a horror element that is so impossible to replicate that if you are a fan of horror and you haven't seen this, it set the standard for the mid to late aughts to early 2010s on body horror and all the sort of genres we got. Like it set a tone, it set a standard, and it's if not the top five in greatest twists of all time.
Yeah. I don't have much to say because it's coming up on my list, but completely agree with everything. And just at the time it came out, it's just a huge surprise. Like no
The
one.
lowest budget, like I mean, isn't this one of the like when you take percentage wise, box office to budget, like one of the highest grossing?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, because basically, I don't know how much Danny Glover and Carrie Elwes charged them, but that seems to be where all the money went because they had a 17-day production budget for it, like time to film it. So that just shows you how much money they had. They basically had like 2.5 weeks to film it.
Yeah, 21 years ago. It came out October 29th, 2004.
God,
That's crazy.
awesome. I mean, I knew it was coming up on your list. I was wondering which of us would have it higher.
Sorry, 1.1 to 1.2 million on the budget. Box office 104 million.
Wow. A
I mean,
100 times return.
yeah, that's insane.
You know why Lionsgate has
That is
made
insane.
8 billion of these. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have the research on me to like tell you how that percentage.
But in terms of ROI, I can't imagine
Like
there's
that's
a
insane.
bigger. That's utterly ridiculous. All right, my number 29 was the 40-Year-Old Virgin, which I told you guys, not the one I'm doing tonight, but this is going to start off a run of a couple early to mid 2000s comedies for me because that is number one, just like my comedic sensibility was developed in that time, and two, I just think that there is such a strong string of consecutive like great comedic films we got then. So I'm going to put a big run on those coming up, but not tonight because my number 28 movie of all time is the 1998 animated Mulan, one of my not only favorite Disney movies but movies of all time. All right, we want to talk music.
You do sing this song all the time.
Be a Man, yes. It is also on my workout playlist. Goes way too fucking hard in the paint. Did not even have to. Then you want to change things up a bit, get a little bit emotional. Reflection, Who Is That Girl I See? And if you really want to get emotional, listen to Christina Aguilera's version of it, which is incredible. True to Your Heart with 98 Degrees and Stevie Wonder, another absolute banger. And Eddie Murphy's performance as Mushu is incredible. This movie has heart. It has incredible animation. It has comedy. And I think, I mean, even as an adult, I'm still frightened by Shan Yu, the villain in this, the leader of the Hun army. He is so fucking scary. It's ridiculous. When the hawk grabs that sword and flies above the palace in China and drops it, and you think it's going to hit a statue, and then his arm reaches up and grabs it out of the air. Holy shit, dude. I just pissed my pants right now thinking of it.
Is it one of the last great Disney animated, like 2D animated?
Yeah, it probably is. I mean, if you think Toy Story was like 99, right?
Yeah. 90s, yeah.
Or was it before that? And when Toy Story came out, they didn't exclusively like right away go to like the
95 was Toy Story.
95. Okay. Well, then yeah, Mulan probably was because after the success of Toy Story,
Yeah,
Disney
2000,
definitely
1998 for Mulan.
Disney definitely started having a aversion to the 2D. I understand that in terms of budget and process, the 2D animation is just so much more work. But
It's so beautiful.
it's worth it, man. It just
It's
looks
worth
so
it.
damn
It's
good.
so much. It feels more real. I know that like that sounds silly, but like computer animations is more real. I get that, but like maybe it's because we grew up with it. Because you and I grew up with the Aladdin's, the Lion Kings, the
Right.
Little Mermaids, like Beauty and the Beast. Like there's something at home about it, and the fact that like Mulan was probably the last of the great one. There have been some good 2Ds obviously since, but like Mulan really was the last of the era for Disney.
Yeah, and this movie, a movie that takes place like the majority of it in snow. When I think of like what they're still able to do with like colors and shading, and just like the look of the like armor that the warriors wear, it's like
Yeah.
you could not have done it with 3D and had it look near as cool. I still have not seen the live action version of
No,
this. I've heard
don't.
horrible things though.
No. I was just gonna say that. I've not been a fan of the majority of the live actions. Even if I haven't liked them, like they've been tolerable. Like Lion King, for instance. I'm like, whatever, it's fine. I can watch it. I actually enjoyed the Aladdin one. Funny enough, like
Yeah, that
I
one's
appreciated that
harmless.
like Will Smith did something different. Like he was. Everyone gets mad that he's not Robin Williams. I'm like, no, he shouldn't have tried to be Robin Williams. I appreciate it.
Yeah, he has musical proclivity.
Yeah,
Like do
of
what you're
course he
good at.
does.
Rap. That's what Will
Yeah,
Smith's there for.
the Mulan live action is by far, bar none, the worst. And I can go off for 10 minutes if you let me, like, talk about
Conceptually, I
why.
heard they took away the music and Mushu. So at that point, number one, what are we doing?
But it
But
made no sense.
number two, that's the two probably strongest things in the movie.
But they said they took those things away to make it more realistic.
And then
But
she's like turning into
yet,
a dragon
then
and
they
stuff.
added magic. And I'm sorry, this is a spoiler. I'm going to go off. The whole point of Mulan is she is a woman, a girl who is capable of doing anything in spite of quote unquote being a girl. Like she is able to do all of the things that any man can do. In the live action, you find out she's only able to do these things because she's magical. So it takes
That's
away
inspirational.
any like feminism. Like it doesn't make sense. So Mulan in the original is like just a strong girl who cares about her people and her family. And now she's only strong because she has magical ability. But they wanted to take Mushu out because it was unrealistic. So it's like, what are we doing here? I'm sorry, that one pisses me off. I want you to watch it, but I don't want you to watch it.
This was one of those movies, maybe the first one Disney did it with. It came out during COVID, but you could
Yeah.
purchase it on Disney Plus, right?
Yes, that's when I watched it.
Because I remember I didn't buy this one, especially because I think you bought it first, and we're like, dude, stay far away. But then I did buy Black Widow when it came out,
You
and
you made the right decision.
I was tempted to go back and watch Mulan, but again, I've not heard a positive thing about it. And I hold the original, obviously being my number 28 movie of all time, in such high regard that I really think I would be judging it up against that the whole time.
And I want you to watch it for that reason, but I don't want you to watch it because it sucks. Like I want to hear your opinion on it.
Knowing the music isn't in it, I'm just like, dude, what am I doing then? Like, why do I?
And the thing is, the acting is still like everything about the live action, from what I remember, was still fine. It was like they diluted what made the original great. That's what pissed me off.
I don't know who's behind a lot of these decisions, but millions and millions of dollars go into them, and a lot of times they're fucking stupid.
Why don't they pay us here at the Bro Force Squad?
I know it's weird. I've left them a lot of voicemails. Some of them in
They'll
the middle of
call.
the night when I'm drunk, but they haven't returned any of them.
They will. They're just playing hard to get.
All right, I'm gonna call them again in a little bit. All right, cycling. Before we let the people go, for episode 246, any closing words of wisdom? Any advice?
Just Banner's not here, so I'll say pull over for your emergency vehicles and first responders, because they are out there trying to help people. You don't know who's in those cars. You don't know who's in that ambulance that they're trying to rescue. Could be a family member, could be a friend. And even if it's a stranger,
Yeah, it doesn't matter who's in it.
Doesn't matter who's in there. Also, get out of the left lane. Get out of the left lane because that's meant for faster vehicles passing you. And honestly, if you get out of the left lane, probably less accidents for those ambulances responding to. So
Bingo.
it all works out together.
It's a 2-for-1. Can't beat that. You know what? My normal advice about post smart stuff in your neighborhood social media group, be it Facebook, Nextdoor, Ring, I'm actually not going to lead with, or not going to end with tonight, because be honest, we got to call a spade. When people fuck up, we got to call them out. But when they do the right thing, we also have to give them their props. And my Ring app, nothing stupid has been posted like the last 2 weeks.
Do you think they've been listening to the pod?
I know they have been. Obviously, you see the numbers we do. Everyone's fucking listening
in that neighborhood.
Yes, we're huge here.
Specifically.
Yeah, but it's all been like good questions, like, who do you guys use for your internet, or do you have any recommendations on like landscapers? I'm like, fuck, this is actually the intended use of this app. Now, having said that, 4th of July is coming up, and I've always said that is like the Christmas for stupid neighborhood
peak holiday.
Yeah, because you like when the first firework goes off, you're like, all right, let's lock in and see what Karen has to say about. Did anyone hear fireworks? Like, yeah, it's the fucking 4th of July. And no one gives a shit if they're illegal. So that's coming up. Look forward to that.
I want you to be on there being like, no, did you? Like, you just need to answer all of these people.
Crazy person. Like, gaslight them into thinking they're insane. All right. For our legal counsel, Ronnie Cycli, I'm the mayor, Jeff Hornacek. We are the Bro Force Squad podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening to us. Type in Bro Force Squad as 3 separate words on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, iHeartRadio, anywhere you find your podcast, you'll find us there. Go to our website, broforcesquad.com. It has everything we've ever posted, as well as a link to our archive.org with all of our audio. And you can follow us on all the socials at Broforce Squad. Till next time, again, just get out the left lane. Won't have any problems. Is that a threat? I'll take that off the air.
Yes, it is, actually.